honored to have the opportunity to present Jim Flannery, 1991's award winner from the Club of Cleveland. I met Jim in the fall of 1956 as a freshman at Notre Dame. We both were residing on the same floor of St. Ed's. We go back a number of years. There are some things, and I'm sure all of you have had a chance to look at the program and see the many accomplishments that Jim has achieved in the 30 years that he's since he graduated from Notre Dame. You know, married 31 plus years to Judy. There's a little side to that. Jim was engaged to Judy. Their engagement took place at the log cabin on the campus of Notre Dame. A solemn ceremony, a very special event. Again, the Reds of Notre Dame, and Jim did it. What wasn't mentioned in the program was the fact that Jim was the captain of the Notre Dame's bowling team in his senior year. There's also a significant event that's attached to that as well. They had such a successful year that upon the conclusion of the season, something happened with his bowling ball, and I'm sure he'll share with us, or at least I can quite share. St. Mary's League has not been the same since then. His accomplishments as a politician, a very successful politician, is recorded. He was on the Ways and Means Committee when he was a state representative. And during that period of time, and many of us recently will relate to it, we all had to prepare income tax returns, and we have to give credit to certain people for the initiative and what they achieved for us. And as I prepared my tax return, we'll have to remember Jim Flannery, the father of the Ohio State income tax. So that's our Jim. I'm sure, and it has been said that possibly Jim was born a Democrat, and maybe there's another Democrat in the family that's an up-and-comer, and as opposed to being remembered as the father of the income tax, I'm sure Jim will rather be remembered as the father of Brian Flannery, the next mayor of the city of Lakewood. Without further ado, and certainly allowing some time for the main speaker, I'd like to introduce Jim Flannery, the award winner.
Classmates are wonderful. They do a great job. And since I've been attacked, and with all due respect to our formal speaker here this evening, I would ask that you let me indulge in a few moments of nostalgia and a few comments and a few retorts and whatever else I can get across while I have this opportunity, which obviously only happens once in a lifetime. This award obviously makes me jubilant, happy, and humble. It does more than satisfy the ego. I'm delighted my family, friends, relatives, in-laws, associates from Clifton Gunderson and Company are here with me tonight to share this highlight. I was pleased with my best friend, Father Patton, and the invocation he gave this evening. Obviously, to achieve certain things, you have to do certain things during your lifetime and have what we call good pleasures rather than evil pleasures, and you need people to keep you on the right path. And having grown up with a priest, I had nothing, how could they have it any better than that to keep me on the straight and narrow? He's been the family psychiatrist and psychologist. He's got big shoulders we've cried on many a time. And he's been great too on football weekends up in Notre Dame where you could have mass in a hotel room on Saturday afternoon in 20 minutes. It's great to have friends like that. There are many things to give and stories to tell. Each of you, like me, obviously could write a book on your life and your experiences. Chapter 1, page 1. Not to worry. Not to worry. not exceed the beloved Al Grisani's length of comments 3 years ago in his remarks in 1988. In the late 20s and the early 30s, we'll start with 19, so we'll move right along here rather quickly. Young Joe Flannery listened on his crystal set to Notre Dame football, and as many young Catholic men developed a burning desire to go to ND. But like so many, such as my good friend Joe Rochford, or my good friend Don Hutton, Don over here, he said many times that if any of us ever have a second life, rather than coming back as Burt Reynolds or the Pope or anything, he wants to come back as the quarterback of the Notre Dame football team. They didn't have the money or the opportunity to go to Notre Dame. My dad, Joe, and Mom Peg had 8 children, and he would select the eldest, me, to do what he wanted, and that was to go to ND. 8 children was a lot, but with many Irish Catholic families having 10, 12, 14 children, ours was small. Some of those groups even called my mother frigid. As I was growing up, and while I was at St. Ed's, I wasn't into college ball and not a follower of ND. So when Dad asked if I would rather go to Notre Dame than Villanova, I didn't realize the importance of the matter at that time. Although I wasn't the smartest student, and we had to take our SATs on March 17th of all days. So I wasn't surprised when ND rejected me for their engineering school. But Dad's desires were strong. As the ND alums here know, and as Dr. Hoffman knows and can attest to, today you have to have the grades and the extracurriculars to get into ND, or else you just don't get in. But in those days, there were opportunities. And Dad, being a politician, had a few IOUs and called on the Pat Candys and the Tom Burns and others. Jim got into ND. But the pressure was on to live Dad's dream. Now I was in, and I best stay in for 4 years, or else. However, the pressure's mounted because in those days, unlike today where the retention rate is 95%, I believe, in those days of orientation, and there was all-male school, they sat you down and said, look at the fellow next to you, because next year, he's not going to be here. And I said, oh my God, that's going to kill me. I probably won't be here. But my problems were further compounded when, in the freshman year, the hall rectors, and in this case, Father Glenn Borman, would interview each of the incoming freshmen. And as I sat in his office on the first floor, and he was reviewing my high school transcript, record, my SATs and everything, he just looked at me and said, Flannery, how in the hell did you ever get in here? Because then I knew politicians could grease the skids. But also, it also meant more pressure was being applied, without question. Fortunately, I had good friends and classmates like Benny Bazzioni and Tom Reedy, and watching them operate with hard work, I figured that with hard work and a lot of prayers and a lot of luck, I could probably do it. If any of you ever have an opportunity at campus to visit the gravel, and if you look very closely at the stone from Lourdes that's embedded there, look closely and you'll see a lot of scratches on that stone. Those are from my fingernails. Prior to every exam we had, I spent more time down at the grotto. Thank goodness for Our Lady. Candle revenues also doubled while I was there for 4 years. I really wasn't stupid. I just was a slow learner, and but I did work hard. Dan, as I recall, only called me stupid twice that I remember. Once, as many of you remember from Cleveland back in my age and maybe further back, we'd take the train to South Bend, and you would board the train down in the basement of the terminal tower. And one of the evenings after kissy-facing with my now bride, Judy, it was time to hit the train downstairs because everybody else, all my buddies, had already gone downstairs. So I rush downstairs and I hop on the train, and it takes off and pulls out of out of the terminal. And I look around and I said, I don't see any of my classmates here, or my friends, where are they? And I asked the conductor, I said, well, where is this train going? He said, Indianapolis, Indiana. I said, that's quite a ways from South Bend, isn't it? He said, yeah, about 5 hours from South Bend. I said, well, where's your next stop? And he said, Elyria. And I said, okay, let me get out. So I got out of Elyria, called home and said, Dad? He said, Jim? He said, where are you? I said, I'm in Elyria, Ohio. What are you doing there? And I explained to him what I did. He said, stupid, stupid, stupid. The next occasion occurred when I was a junior up there and called Mom and Dad to campus in rather an urgent manner and said I wanted to get married. And then again he said, stupid, stupid, stupid. Of course, his fear was that you get married, you don't graduate. And I was 3/4 of the way through the dream and my accomplishment. But as it turned out, as Denny alluded to, Judy and I married in September before we started my senior year. I really did it because I wanted to live off campus, guys. That's so we did live off campus, and things turned out extremely well. The final result, of course, that isn't in the program is that I did graduate, and I did vindicate myself and prove that it was proper that they admitted me to Notre Dame. But it did teach me a lot of hard work and accomplish a lot of things, and with the help of our good Lord, I have continued to try to follow this principle as much as possible. During those days, too, in achieving Dad's dream, the tuition, as I recall, room and board was $1,800. But back in those days, in the late 50s, that was a substantial portion of one's income. And of course, with Dad spending all of his money on me, that left very little to trickle down to my brothers and sisters who are sharing this evening with me here this evening. And I just want to take a moment and just ask them to raise their hands briefly as I introduce them. Joe and his lovely wife Sheila, and my brother Tim and his lovely wife Fran, and my sister Marge and her husband Bob, and my sisters Bobby and Mary Jo, and all the way from Tennessee tonight through a car accident and everything, Terry. It's funny, Denny alluded to my skills in the bowling lanes. As our children were growing up, and of course anybody else, when you tell them you went to Notre Dame, they said, well, geez, did you play football? And I said, well, no, but I said I was captain of the Notre Dame bowling team. And the kids would go off laughing and say, boy, Dad was really some wimp, wasn't he? I don't go around and tell too many people that. Denny, you didn't have to bring it up. But another member of myself did have a celebration, did toss our bowling balls into St. Mary's Lake. I don't know if they've ever been taken out or not. As every family, my dad had 8 children, and at least I tied him in that accomplishment, and we have 8 great, very special children, each special in their own way. And I, again, indulge on your time and would like to introduce them. Our oldest, Jimmy, and his wife Maureen, right here in front of me. Thanks. Judy said that if she ever lived that long, that her oldest child was going to be 30, she would slash her wrist. If you come to our home, if you come to our home on July 31st, there'll be a party, a slashing of the wrist party. She's already started because Judy will be 30. And they've presented us with 3 fine grandchildren, 2 boys and a girl. Our second favorite eldest son, Danny, and his wife Carolyn, they just married in December, and Danny has a position teaching at the University of Arizona in Tucson, was unable to be with us. So we have 2 sons, and I said, boy, we're on a roll. This is great. I love it. So we're going to have a basketball team, and if we can get that, onto the football team. Well, lo and behold,